Welcome to Archive Vault, where we explore declassified records, hidden histories, and state-level investigations. Please note, some illustrative narration is AI-generated for storytelling purposes. All content is educational and documentary-based. You are at sea in November 1872. The Atlantic is cold. The brigantine Mary Celeste leaves New York Harbor on November 7th. The destination is Genoa, Italy. The cargo is 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. The captain is Benjamin Spooner Briggs. He is experienced. He brings his wife, Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia. 7 crew members sail with them. The ship is seaworthy. It had previously sailed under another name, before being sold and renamed. There is no recorded distress when it departs. The weather in early November is unsettled but not extraordinary for the Atlantic. On December 4th, 1872, another vessel, the Dei Gratia, spots a ship drifting between the Azores and Portugal. The sails are partially set. The ship moves erratically. Captain David Morehouse of the Dei Gratia recognizes the vessel. It is the Mary Celeste. He knows Captain Briggs personally. He sends a boarding party. When the men step aboard, they find the ship deserted. No crew, no captain, no passengers. The lifeboat is missing. The cargo remains largely intact. The personal belongings of the captain and crew are still aboard. Food stores are present. Water is available. The ship shows no signs of violent struggle. No blood. No obvious damage suggesting collision. The last log entry is dated November 25th. The ship is found more than 400 nautical miles from that recorded position. The chronometer and sextant are missing. The lifeboat is gone. Everything else remains. A seaworthy ship, supplies aboard, no bodies, and no clear explanation left behind. When the boarding party from the Dei Gratia completed its first inspection, they reported confusion rather than chaos. The Mary Celeste was not wrecked. The hull was intact. There was water in the hold, but not at a level that would normally justify abandoning ship. Later measurements estimated about 3.5 feet of water inside, which was not unusual for a vessel of that size and cargo. The pumps were examined. One of them was found disassembled, which may have affected the crew's ability to measure how much water was truly present. The sails were in mixed condition. Some were set, some were loose. Rigging showed wear from weather but not catastrophic storm damage. The cabin was orderly. The captain's papers were missing, along with the ship's chronometer and sextant. These were tools necessary for navigation, suggesting that if the crew left, they intended to steer a lifeboat toward land. The lifeboat itself was gone. A rope trailed from the stern, which may have been attached to that missing boat. The cargo of industrial alcohol remained on board. Later inspection revealed that several barrels were empty, though no clear explosion damage was found in the structure of the ship. The hatch covers were not fully secured. The compass was damaged. The ship's logbook ended on November 25th, 1872, near the Azores. Weather records from the region indicate rough seas during that period, but no confirmed hurricane at the precise location recorded. When the Dei Gratia sailed the abandoned vessel to Gibraltar, a formal inquiry was opened. The Vice Admiralty Court investigated the possibility of foul play. Suspicion initially fell on the crew of the Dei Gratia. Salvage rights meant financial compensation, and authorities considered whether the rescue had been staged. Captain Morehouse and his crew were questioned extensively. No evidence supported violence or conspiracy between the two ships. Attention then shifted to Captain Briggs and his crew. The court considered mutiny, piracy, insurance fraud. None of these theories were supported by physical evidence found aboard the Mary Celeste. The alcohol cargo was valuable but not stolen. There were no signs of looting. The ship was capable of sailing. The official investigation did not establish a definitive cause for abandonment. It documented what was present. It documented what was missing. It did not document what happened between the final log entry and the moment the crew left the vessel. The court eventually released the Mary Celeste and granted partial salvage payment to the Dei Gratia crew. The file closed without a confirmed explanation. A seaworthy vessel had been found adrift. The crew, including a captain's wife and child, had vanished, and the record offered only conditions, not conclusions. After the official inquiry ended without conclusion, explanations began to multiply. The first theory considered was mutiny. Some suggested that the crew may have turned against Captain Briggs. However, there were no signs of violence aboard the ship. No blood, no damaged cabin, no evidence of struggle. Captain Briggs was known as experienced and respected. His crew had strong records. Nothing in the recovered logs suggested rising tension. Another theory proposed piracy, yet the cargo remained largely untouched. Personal belongings, jewelry, and valuables were still in place. Pirates seeking profit would not likely abandon a fully provisioned vessel with cargo intact. Insurance fraud was also examined. Some questioned whether the abandonment had been staged. The Admiralty Court scrutinized Captain Morehouse and the Dei Gratia crew closely. No evidence connected them to wrongdoing. No proof emerged that Captain Briggs had planned a deception. The alcohol cargo introduced another possibility. Some barrels were later found empty. It was suggested that fumes from leaking barrels could have built up below deck. Industrial alcohol can release vapors that are flammable. One theory proposes that a small explosion or fear of explosion may have occurred in the hold. Such an event could have caused panic without leaving heavy burn marks. If the crew believed a larger blast was imminent, they may have temporarily boarded the lifeboat, intending to tow behind the ship until danger passed. If the tow line snapped in rough weather, the Mary Celeste would have drifted away, leaving the crew stranded at sea. Another explanation centers on faulty navigation. If the pumps were not functioning properly and the sounding rod was misread, Captain Briggs may have believed the ship was taking on dangerous levels of water. Combined with storm conditions, he may have decided to abandon ship as a precaution. There is also speculation about water spouts, rogue waves, or sudden sea events that frightened the crew without leaving lasting structural damage. Over time, more dramatic claims entered public imagination. Stories of sea monsters, giant squids, and supernatural forces appeared in newspapers and fiction. One widely circulated but inaccurate version of events described a half-eaten meal on the table and steaming cups of tea. Those details did not appear in official records. They originated later in fictional retellings. The Mary Celeste became a canvas for mystery. Each theory attempts to answer the same question. Why would an experienced captain abandon a seaworthy vessel in the open Atlantic? None of the proposed explanations fully account for every detail. The lifeboat was missing. The navigation tools were gone. The ship remained afloat. The crew was never found. The ocean kept its silence. The Mary Celeste departed New York on November 7, 1872, bound for Genoa, Italy. The captain was Benjamin Spooner Briggs. On board were his wife, his young daughter, and 7 crew members. The cargo consisted of 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. On December 4, 1872, the British ship Dei Gratia found the Mary Celeste drifting in the Atlantic Ocean near the Azores. The vessel was seaworthy. The hull was intact. The cargo was largely undisturbed. There was water in the hold, but not at a level considered immediately dangerous for a ship of that size. The lifeboat was missing. The chronometer and sextant were missing. The ship's logbook contained its final entry, dated November 25th, placing it near Santa Maria Island in the Azores. When found, the ship had traveled hundreds of miles from that log position. There were no signs of violence aboard, no confirmed evidence of piracy, no confirmed evidence of mutiny. The official inquiry in Gibraltar investigated possible foul play, including suspicion toward the crew of the Dei Gratia. No proof supported a staged abandonment or conspiracy. The court did not determine a cause for the disappearance. Over time, fictional embellishments entered the story. Claims of meals left on the table, overturned chairs, and sudden panic were popularized in later newspaper accounts and literary retellings. Those elements do not appear in the Admiralty records. What remains documented is this. A vessel in navigable condition was discovered abandoned. The crew, including a captain's wife and child, were never found. No confirmed wreckage of the lifeboat was recovered. No bodies were identified. No verified distress signal was recorded. The most widely accepted explanation among maritime historians suggests a temporary abandonment linked to perceived danger, possibly involving alcohol fumes, pump malfunction, or weather conditions. That explanation remains a reconstruction, not a proven event. The Mary Celeste continues to be cited as one of the most enduring maritime mysteries in recorded history. The ship reached port. The cargo was delivered. The investigation closed. The crew did not return. The official record describes what was present. It does not describe what happened after November 25th. And beyond that entry, the Atlantic keeps the rest. Thank you for listening to Archive Vault Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive and found it insightful. Wishing you a great week ahead, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. We'll be back soon with more stories from the archives. See you next time.